with Miss Riley.
Hi everybody, welcome to episode 4 of Junk Drawer Art with Miss Riley. That's me. John and I are in here today. Yesterday you guys worked on making your Play-Doh. We made Play-Doh in the kitchen, and John and I actually, after we turned the video off, we added some more pink food coloring. We added some more red food coloring to kind of make our Play-Doh a little bit of a red pink. We only had to use 2 drops, and we let it sit out for a little bit, and now we are ready to make some things with our homemade Play-Doh. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so today, what am I talking about? I'm going to have it just here on my phone to show you. We're going to be talking about how to use your do-it-yourself Play-Doh, thinking about fine motor skills. So we're going to be focusing on some different things we're going to be doing with our hands. We have stamping, we have rolling, we have pinching, snipping, snaking, and coiling. So I'm just going to show you guys some different techniques with some things around the house that you can do. And cutting, that'll be the snipping. So the first thing we're going to do is practice a little bit of stamping. If you have been to a supply store, you might have some things like this. We got this at Lakeshore Learning Store. And these are these little letter stampers. You just kind of press them in and they make a letter. You can see it, but not everybody has something like this. So John and I grabbed some things around the house that you can use to stamp some really cool designs. So I usually make it into almost like a patty, like a hamburger patty, and you can kind of flatten it out. And hold on. And if you want to use your real rolling pin, you can to roll the dough out. But I actually have found that if you grab a nice thick marker, like a magic marker, and you hold it flat, let me scoot it back so you guys can see. And you hold it flat in your hand, you can roll your dough out pretty well. This is a little softer than regular Play-Doh. You want to roll yours out? Good. All right, so we're rolling it out. Oh, it rolled back up, didn't it? That was funny. All right, so some of the things that we grabbed, do you want to show them some things that we grabbed to stamp with? So some Legos. Lego plates can be really cool if you stamp them in and lift them up. You can get like a really cool texture to it. You could make waffles. You're right. What else did we get to stamp? A rastar tentacle. So you can stamp it on there. You could use minifigures to walk and create some stamps. You can use a car, so you can drive your car across your Play-Doh, and it can create some tire tracks in there. Another cool thing we have around our house, a lot of people like plastic dinosaurs or plastic animals. You can make little steps across your Play-Doh just to kind of create all of these really cool textured designs. And when you're done, you just do what John's doing, and you can either flip it over and start again, or you can even use your roller to roll it out. And a lot of times you'll see these kits that have these really nice fancy dough tools with them, which is great if you go to like a Lakeshore or order off Amazon. But you can use some regular tools that you have around your house in Play-Doh too. And some of those tools are just plastic knives for cutting. I can use a plastic knife to cut clear through Play-Doh. Very cool. Here's your plastic knife. Why don't you cut for a minute? You can use forks to create texture. So, for example, you could carve a lion's face and give him a lion's mane by using your fork to make lots of little lines around the edge. Another thing that you can use with Play-Doh, and I use with clay all the time, are regular scissors. So if you wanted to make, let's say, a character here, and we'll squish him up and give him some hair here, you could even take your scissors and give him a little haircut. Yeah. So even just simple tools like plastic silverware and scissors can be fun in clay. Another thing that is really fun, if you don't mind getting it dirty, is after you roll your dough, and here's my cool little fork marks that I have all over it. Once you roll your dough out, you can actually just use regular cookie cutters. John and I do this all the time, especially like around the holidays, but just regular metal cookie cutters, because the dough you made is food safe. You can just wash them and use them again. You can use lids if you don't have, so just lay them down, just like you would cookie dough. Peel that extra away, which kind of leaves this cool design on its own, and you have almost like a little cookie shape that you can work with. You can leave this out to dry, but like I said, it's going to dry kind of a little brittle. It'll break really easily, but it's up to you if you want to leave it out. It kind of dries out just like regular Play-Doh. So I told you guys, while John's just working on stamping some things, I'm going to show you a few techniques that we actually do in an elementary school with clay. So I showed you snipping with the scissors. We looked at stamping. One of the things, and rolling with the rolling pin, rolling it out. We do that a lot. Another thing that we do a lot of is, I'm going to separate this into two balls and show you this one, is what I call snaking or coiling. So you take the Play-Doh like this. You take the Play-Doh like this, and just using a flat hand, you roll it to make a snake. So I'm just getting it skinnier, not applying too much pressure. If you apply too much, it's going to flatten it completely down. So just enough to kind of smush it and roll it out to make a long snake. Some kindergartners, and this one I'm not having John do it right now, this can be a little tough for kindergartners. This is a newer skill for them. Older kids will be able to do it really easily. And so you have like this really long snake, and then you can make what I call a coil pot, where you tuck the end around, and be really careful. You can pick it up and just put the layers on top of each other, coiling it around and around until you kind of have like a little pot here. You can make a lid for it. You can actually pick it up and make a bottom for it. This is actually a technique for making pottery in jars that humans have been using for thousands of years, is just coil pottery. So that's one cool technique that we do. Another one is we call, do you need to go play? Another technique I use is, it's a pinch pot, which is an extremely, this is actually what I do starting with kindergartners. So when you're working on a pinch pot, it's another way to make like a little pot or a jar. You roll the ball to make a sphere, a 3D circle, and you start forming your jar by pushing your thumb in. And this is a technique that you'll see I'm constantly turning it and slightly pushing in with my thumb. And this is actually similar to the technique that people who work with a potter's wheel do. That's why it's always turning, so that you get your equal pressure on all sides. And if I continue to apply pressure and rotate it and push out the bottoms and the sides, eventually I end up with a nice little bowl that I can put a lid on. Another cool thing you can do with these little bowls is you can take the bowl, turn it inside out, almost like a little tent that you have on your hand, and then you can use some of these things that we were looking at to kind of apply some designs to the outside of your bowl. So you have like a nice, neat texture little bowl here. So kind of the sky's the limit. If you want to leave it out to dry and see what it does, you can. Some of them can dry kind of nicely, and like it's not going to be nice and shiny like glazed pottery, but it'll be pretty cool. You can even paint it once it's dried, like salt dough. If you're ready to make something else, you just smush it together and try one of the other fantastic things that we have out here. When you're done with your Play-Doh, remember to put it in a closed container. If you leave it out, it will dry out. And if you want to keep it for an extra long time, I was reading earlier that some people even keep theirs in the fridge if they're not going to use it for a couple of days, just to make sure that the ingredients, see, I can't even stop playing with it now, just to make sure the ingredients don't go bad. But we've had, I've had Play-Doh that I made like this last for months. We still have some of the gingerbread Play-Doh that we made at the holidays. So we hope that you guys have a really good time working with some at-home-ish clay, and work some of these muscles in your fingers to work on your fine motor skills, so that when we come back to art, you'll be ready to hold oil pastels and paintbrushes and real clay. Do you want to tell me to have a good day?
Have a good day.
Have a good day. Oh. No. And always leave me comments, contact me on Dojo, say hey on Facebook, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.